Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, another year, another absolutely tragic event that clearly could have been avoided, that should have been avoided, and that leftoids conveniently seem to be completely ignoring. I mean, granted, this event is not nearly as bad as a couple that we covered last year, whether it was individuals packed in the back of a semi-truck, caught in a crash or losing their lives to heat exhaustion, or the catastrophic amount of individuals who were lost trying to cross the Rio Grande in bad conditions, drowning to their demise. But just because it's not as tragic as some of the events from last year, doesn't mean that it should be ignored, but of course, compassionate Democrats are doing exactly that, ignoring it. Like I always say, the exact people who claim to be the most compassionate, the most virtuous, advocating for the most vulnerable in society, just don't give a crap when it comes to innocent lives being lost as a result of their insane policies. I want to delve into this despicable hypocrisy with a focus on the southern border and Mexican drug cartels. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at the headline. I mean, it's nothing new. At least 8 migrants drown after pair of suspected smuggling boats capsize. Number of survivors unknown. At least 8 adult migrants drowned on Saturday when 2 suspected smuggling boats capsized off of Black's Beach in San Diego, California. This is one of the worst maritime smuggling tragedies that I can think of in California, and certainly here in the city of San Diego. Lifeguard Chief James Gartland of the San Diego Fire Department told the Los Angeles Times, "We did the best that we could to recover people from the water." Officials reportedly became aware of the incident after a woman on one of the boats called 911 at around 11:30 p.m. to ask for help. Her boat had made it to the shore, she said, but the other had capsized, leaving people in the water. She gave the location of the 2 boats near Black's Beach in San Diego's Torrey Pines neighborhood. She said the pair of vessels were carrying 15 people in total. Officials now say that up to 15 people may have been aboard the second boat alone. And so as we know, it's at least 8 migrants have drowned, but it's possibly much more than that, considering one boat had 15 people, and the number of survivors right now is unknown. And I want to focus on that word right there, unknown, because the actual tragic human toll of the current southern border crisis is in fact unknown. The question that I'm asking myself is how many people drown in the Rio Grande that we're unaware of? How many people perish in the desert during that treacherous trip that are unaccounted for, that are unknown? How many people crossing over by boat in the Gulf of Mexico or traveling on the Pacific Ocean trying to make it into California? How many of those boats capsize every single year? Frankly, I don't want to know the number. But what I do know is that Democrats don't give a flying F. They claim to care so much, and Republicans are just evil, terrible, despicable racists who want to keep people with different skin pigmentation out of the country. It's a load of crap, and the absolute delusion and the propaganda coming from the left is just ridiculous. Yesterday, we covered Karine Jean-Pierre's ridiculous word salad in defense of Joe Biden's southern border policies.
What we are going to promise is that we're going to do this. We're going to move forward with this kind of system, this immigration system that has been gutted, really, truly gutted by the last administration. We're going to move forward and do it in a humane way. We're going to do it in a safe way, and we're going to do it in the way that moves us forward. What we have done is we've opened the path to make sure that people have a way to get, to come through and do it in a legal pathway.
And let's read the transcript. We're gonna move forward in a humane way. Well, does this seem humane? The scale of this humanitarian crisis, the amount of people that are lost every single year, not to mention the amount of women and children that are abused or put into human trafficking or are caught in situations of exploitative labor. She says we're gonna do it in a safe way. Is walking through a treacherous desert what she means when she says a safe manner? Is drowning in the Rio Grande or traveling through the ocean during pitch black nighttime in a rinky-dink little boat? Is that a safe manner? It's completely ridiculous. She then continues, and we're going to do it in a way that moves us forward. And so what we have been seeing and what we're dealing with again is trying to fix the damage that the last administration did. She then continued, what we have done is we have opened the path to make sure that people have a way to come through and to do it in a legal pathway. A flat out lie, because nearly all the migration happening at the southern border is happening through illegal channels, illegal pathways, treacherous trips, not legal entry points where people are claiming asylum. And what really frustrates me is the juxtaposition. You have these ridiculous, so-called compassionate Democrats showing up on TV, virtue signaling, straight up lying through their teeth, pretending as if they're doing something good and that they care about the people more than these evil Republicans who supposedly refuse to work with them on immigration reform. And then you contrast that with the mounting headlines of absolutely terrible, tragic events. Democrats don't care. Democrats aren't the compassionate ones. These Democrat leaders are sociopaths. Here's a good example of what I mean.
I'll tell you, this fanning the flames of border crisis is such baloney. I mean, the reality is when Republicans are talking about drugs streaming across the border and it being immigrants that bring them, the majority, Jose, as you know, of drugs, which is absolutely something we have to stop, are coming across the border, mostly carried by Americans at our actual border crossings.
The cartels are smuggling a record amount of fentanyl into the country. It's beyond crisis mode at this point. Over 100,000 Americans every single year are lost due to fentanyl overdose. I was reading a statistic recently that it's the #1 cause of death for men, I think, between the age of 18 and 45, I believe. It's hitting catastrophic levels. And when confronted on this issue, Democrat Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz claims that it's a disingenuous talking point from the Republican side, and that actually, most of it is brought in by American citizens. You know, her statistic is correct. Most of the mules that are drug trafficking for the cartels are in fact American citizens, but that doesn't change the fact that the border crisis itself is part of the problem. How is CBP supposed to do its job if they're dealing with over 2 million border apprehensions every single year under the current Democrat open border situation? Democrats would rather say, well, actually it's Americans that are bringing in the drugs, rather than focus on the issue that over 100,000 Americans are dying every single year. It's an out-of-control epidemic, and the cartels are taking advantage of your weak border policies to make billions through human smuggling and drug smuggling. You can't tell me that you're on the right side of history, that you're the compassionate liberal, when your policies are leading to human suffering and catastrophic loss of human life like we've never seen before. Over 100,000 Americans are lost every single year, but you're supposed to be focused on a border crisis in Ukraine. No, I think the focus should be on Mexican drug cartels peddling death and human suffering at the southern border. But of course we know the Democrats' stance on that. Here's a vote on HB 2675 from the Arizona State House to classify drug cartels as terrorist organizations. You'll notice that 28 Arizona House members voted no. Guess what the common denominator is with those who voted no? Well, they happen to have a D next to their name. Funding and fighting, frankly, a ridiculous border dispute between the Ukrainians and the Russians. Instant response, blank check, $200 billion, let's go. Joe Biden, Janet Yellen, Anthony Blinken, freaking Sean Penn, and Ben Stiller. Celebrities, politicians traveling there on a weekly basis, it feels like. The southern border crisis, again, a human suffering catastrophe, and the center of a drug smuggling epidemic which is leading to over 100,000 Americans dying every single year. Not a freaking peep. Not even a sincere or legitimate visit from this administration. Just 2 photo ops in 2.5 years. Zero attention to this crisis. Zero policy. Zero action. But hey, it's not like Joe Biden needs actual policies or answers. He just needs to show up to a campaign stop and play Despacito on his iPhone. And boom, he's won the argument. Welcome to frickin' Clown World. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.